How to make your classic Mopar, or really any muscle car's headlights, actually good. One word. Relays. I guess this still leaks. This is my 66 Charger, and believe it or not, it has just about the best headlights in the fleet. Maybe not better than the 2013 Subaru, but pretty darn close. This is your standard run-of-the-mill automotive micro relay, 12 volt, and it is my friend. As you can see, I use them all the time. They really should be in some kind of weatherproof box, but they keep working, so I keep not fixing it. In the beginning, there were wires going to loads, like headlights, through switches in there. Headlights pull a lot of power. Wires melt and corrode. It's not the best situation sending battery power into the car through two switches and back out. We can use this to solve that issue. Believe it or not, relays are not new. They've been around forever. They existed in the classic era. Hudson used them in 1948, probably earlier. Chrysler, on the other hand, was cheap. They only used relays where absolutely necessary to have things like a neutral safety switch that worked and a horn. Places where logic was required. When we use relays in this way, we're just using them to control a heavy load to try and keep all the wiring from melting and to get nice bright headlights. But they're also a form of logic control. Early computers are filled with these things. That's all it is. If A equals A, then turn on B, or something like that. They just got smaller and smaller and smaller, and your modern processor has like a gazillion of them, but that's neither here nor there. The factory circuit sends all of the power for the headlights through this headlight switch. It's okay at that job, but not fantastic. The output goes through that headlight dimmer switch. Both the outputs for high beam and low beam come off of that. So if you're missing either of those, that's likely the place you're going to want to look. Due to the heavy current going through them, it is also common to see melted wires on the headlight switch. But usually in these classic Mopars, your issues are there. Next, that power has to go back through the Mopar owner's old nemesis, the firewall connector, before getting out to the lights. So there's another point for breakdown, corrosion, and loss of voltage. There's yet another connector here. As you can probably tell, I've had problems with that over the years. Power finally gets through multiple switches and poor connections out here to the lights, and the result is underwhelming. So, how can I get great headlights by adding a relay? Easy. You just need a relay and two wires. Now, because I tend to be a little lazy when I'm throwing my own crap together, and I never intended to show this on video, it's a little messy and hard to see, but the basics are this. I interrupted the factory wire going to the headlights and redirected it to be the trigger wire of this relay. There's ground there, so when the headlights are turned on, the relay clicks. Now, I needed a battery source, which comes from the relay over there, with no fuse. You might want a fuse, that's up to you. And then the factory headlight wire back out to the lights. It's that easy. Now when you turn on the headlights and click the dimmer switch, all it's doing is clicking this relay on. It's pulling battery power straight out to these lights. So easy. Much like the shunt wire mentioned in one of the other electrical videos, this has an added benefit of taking all of the heavy electrical load off of these switches. So if they're not burned up now, they probably never will be. Here is a very simple diagram that you can hopefully read to explain how to wire one of these. You need battery power coming in on pin 30. Your output, which will be the factory wire that goes to the headlights in this case, is 87. 87A is unused in this application. This actually varies by relay. If you look at this one, you could see 87A is energized when this relay is off. You're not going to want to use that wire for anything. Sometimes when you're setting up logic, that can be useful, but not in this case. Then you've got 85 and 86. 85 is going to be the trigger wire. That's the factory wire coming from inside the car. 86 is going to be ground, so that's another wire you're going to add. Pins 85 and 86 are Actually reversible. It doesn't matter which is which. I never pay attention to those numbers. One more good note here. Battery supply wire to 30 needs to be as big as the factory light wire or bigger. Now, that pin 30 wire can come straight from battery, but close is close enough. And in my case, I pulled it off of the starter relay right there. It works just fine. Of course, you'll notice the battery's missing up here. That's because it's in the trunk. I'm not running a wire to the trunk. I already have one. Now, it should be noted, low beam and high beam are two totally different circuits. And if you want both of them on a relay, you're gonna need two. I actually only have a relay for my low beams. That one is for those fog light things. I only added a relay for my low beams because I figured high beams are extra. And let it be noted, even though the low beams only light up the two outside lights, and the high beams are all four, the low beams are definitely brighter. Oh, also a funny side note, thanks to this wiring up here, I didn't have high beams for quite a while. But they're back, as if by magic. I certainly didn't fix them. The only possible downside I could see to adding a headlight relay would be cutting into your factory wiring. And if that's a problem for you, I understand. Don't do it. But the results speak for themselves. One other note, on Mopars especially, it's pretty common to have really dim and flickering headlights at idle. This can be caused by several things, but making sure you have good engine grounds and clean that connector and grease it can go a long way toward helping. Adding the relay will definitely improve this, but it may not fix it because you're not getting full charge at idle. So there you go. Headlight relays. Easy to add, totally worth it, work very well, and can stave off the inevitable electrical fire that is any classic Chrysler product. Hope that helped, and if you have any questions, let me know. Get out there and do it. Thanks for watching. Yeah, you're next, buddy.